Good afternoon to all, and once again, welcome back to our course of control system. And in the last lecture, we discussed how to obtain the time response analysis of a control system. So ultimately, we need to apply these steps. First of all, we need to obtain the overall transfer function of a given system. Then we need to obtain the response of a control system in frequency domain by identifying which type of input we have selected as an excitation. It may be a step input, it may be a ramp input, or it may be a parabolic input. So depending upon the type of input, we need to obtain the response in frequency domain, which is C of S. Then in step number 3, we need to apply inverse Laplace transform to convert the response from frequency domain to time domain. That means we need to obtain C of t by taking Laplace inverse of C of S. And then in step number 4, suppose if you are interested to segregate the steady state response and the transient response out of the total response, then we need to apply step 4 and step 5. So in step number 4, we can apply this mathematical formula to determine the value of steady state response from a given total response of a system. And then if you apply this, we can easily find out the transient response from the total, which is nothing but the total response minus steady state response. And then we apply the same logic in order to understand the time response analysis of first order control system. So how to define order of a control system? Order means how many number of poles are available in that system. So the total number of poles of a control system indicate the order of that particular system. Now when I say that we have first order, that means there will be only one pole in that particular system. That's why the system is said to be first order. Or sometimes it is also defined as the highest power of S available in the denominator polynomial. When I say denominator polynomial, that indicate the characteristic equation. And if you equate that particular equation to 0 and if you solve for S, so whatever the number of roots you are getting as an output, those itself indicate the number of pole, and the number of pole decide the order of that particular system. For example, in case of first order control system, the highest power of S available in the denominator polynomial function must be equal to 1. That's why it is called as first order. And this particular structure indicate the block diagram of general first order control system, where this G of S is 1 upon ST, and we have considered that it is a unity feedback control system. Therefore, the value of H of S is going to be equal to 1. And then we need to apply those steps one by one. So in step number 1, we need to obtain the overall transfer function of a control system. So here you need to apply elimination of closed loop. G of S is 1 upon ST and H of S is nothing but 1. So you will get C of S by R of S is 1 upon ST plus 1. And then we need to determine the response of a system in frequency domain by considering suitable form of input in the form of excitation. So here we assume that we apply step input, or you can say unit step function as an excitation to that particular system. Therefore, the value of R of t is going to be 1. And if you take Laplace, you will get R of S as 1 by S. So here this 1 by S we need to put in this particular expression, and then we need to calculate C of S, which indicate the response of control system in frequency domain. So this is what we got, the response of system in frequency domain. Then in step number 3, we need to apply inverse Laplace transform. But while applying inverse Laplace transform, we need to first convert this particular expression in the standard form. And to achieve that, we need to go for partial fraction technique like A upon S plus B upon ST plus 1. And if you apply the logic, you will get this as an output. Now this is what the response of a control system in frequency domain, which is in standard form. That means now we can easily apply the standard formula related to inverse Laplace transform and obtain its corresponding response in the time domain. So if you apply the logic here, Laplace inverse of 1 by S is going to be 1, and Laplace inverse of this particular term is going to be equal to e to the power minus small t by capital T. And suppose if you're interested to determine the steady state value, or you can say transient value, then we can apply these mathematical formula. So steady state response is nothing but limit t tends to infinite C of t. So if you Solve this limit. If you replace this t by infinite e to the power minus infinity, this term is going to be what? 0. That's why the final steady state value or final steady state response of the system is going to be equal to 1. And if you know final steady state response, here from equation number 2, we know the total response. So we know that total response is a combination of your steady state response followed by your transient response. So ultimately, if you subtract the steady state response from the total response, we will get the transient response. So if you see this mathematical expression for total time response of the control system, so this indicate your steady state response, and this particular component or portion indicate the transient response. And I told you that time response is a combination of your steady state response and the transient response of the control system. And I also told you that the system is said to be stable if the transient response of that particular system must be vanishes over a specific duration of time. So if you put t tends to infinite, this term must be going to be a 0 factor. And if you what we can say calculate the value of this transient response by taking limit t tends to infinite, this term is going to be what? 0. So we can comment that this particular system is absolutely a stable system. And finally, at t tends to infinite, the response of system is exactly going to be equal to 1. This is very important. So this is the one technique to determine the value of steady state response, or you can say transient response of the control system. You can also, what we can say, determine the error of this particular system by applying our previous logic. For example, if you see the order of this system, it is nothing but 1. And if you see the type of this system, it is going to be equal to 0. See here, this expression indicate your overall what we can say transfer function. And from this, it is very clear that if you convert this into standard form, here we can have s to the power 0. So the type of this system is nothing but what? 0, or simply it is a type 0 system. And in type 0 system, we selected the input in the form of unit step excitation. So in case of unit step excitation, definitely we need to calculate the value of positional error coefficient, which is nothing but Kp. And to calculate that Kp, we need to apply the formula limit s tends to 0, g of s into h of s. Now, first of all, we need to calculate the value of g of s. So to know the value of g of s, here this indicate your g of s. So g of s is 1 upon st. And here we have considered that it is a unity feedback control system. That's why the value of h of s is going to be equal to 1. So if you apply this law in this expression, this g of s is going to be equal to 1 upon st, and h of s is nothing but your 1. So it has to multiply it by 1. Now, if you solve this limit, if you put s tends to 0, so something by 0, this is going to be what? Infinite. Therefore, the value of positional error coefficient is going to be what? Infinite. And if you calculate steady state error, we know that it is going to be equal to 1 upon 1 plus Kp. But the value of Kp is nothing but infinite. So if you put Kp infinite over here, you will get the value of steady state error going to be equal to 0. This is very important. So because the value of steady state error is 0, that's why we can say that the system is absolutely stable. That means for a specific duration of time, the actual response and the desired response of the system are exactly equal. कहने का मतलब है कि जो इसका actual response है वो 1 है और जो desired response है वो भी 1 ही आएगा. दोनों match हो रहे हैं. That is the reason the value of steady state error is going to be 0, and we can say that the system is absolutely stable. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Or you can apply different logic to determine the value of steady state error like this. Suppose if you redraw this structure in time domain, so I can write here as r of t, and this error signal I can write here as e of t, and this controlled output I can write here as small c of t. So at summing point, if you see, because it is a unity feedback control system, so we have tabbed the output and provided as a feedback. So here, if you see the value of feedback signal, it is going to be equal to what? Your c of t. So if you apply a logic at summing point, so we can calculate the output of summing point as error signal, which is nothing but E of t, which is going to be equal to R of t minus C of t. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you put the value of R of t, because we considered that the nature of input excitation is nothing but unit step, that's why the value of R of t is going to be 1. Then minus C of t, and we know the value of C of t, or we know the expression for C of t. It is nothing but 1 minus e to the power minus t by capital T. So if you solve this expression, this 1 will get cancelled and this minus will get plus. So this e to the power minus t by capital T indicate the value of error signal. And if you calculate the value of steady state error, so it is simply the value of error signal at t tends to infinite. So you can write here as limit t tends to what we can say infinite e to the power minus t by capital T. So if you solve this limit, you will get answer as 0. So this is another technique to calculate the value of steady state error and check whether the system is stable or unstable. तो कहने का मतलब है कि आप कोई भी टेक्निक अप्लाई करो, आप ये लॉजिक अप्लाई करो, you will get the same answer. Or if you apply this logic, that means first of all calculate the value of positional error coefficient and then calculate the value of steady state error, again you will get the same value. Or you can apply this logic, that means calculate the value of steady state response, which is going to be equal to 1, and if you calculate transient response, it is going to be equal to this, which is nothing but e to the power minus t by tau, and if you calculate the value of transient response at t tends to infinite, you will get the answer as 0. Because the transient response is completely vanishing at t tends to infinite, we can say that the system is absolutely stable. और जो उसका desired value और जो actual value वो दोनों एक में को क्या कर रहे हैं, exactly match कर रहे हैं. So this is what we learned in the last lecture, and then I told you that this capital T indicate the time constant of the system. So how to define time constant? It is nothing but the time taken by the response to reach 63.2% of its final value. So that time span is known as one time constant. So I can say that by the end of one time constant, the response of system is going to be at this particular value, which is nothing but 63.2% of its final value. For example, if the final value is 1, so by the end of one time constant, the response must be at this point, which is nothing but 0.6321. This is very important. And suppose if you take the response in the term of percentage, suppose it is your 100%, then in that case, the response is going to be around 63.21%. Then we also calculate the response of a system at different time constant. For example, if you're interested to calculate the response of system at 2 time constant, then in that case, the response is around 86.5% of the final value. In the same way, if you calculate the response at 3 time constant, it is around 95%. And if you try to calculate the response at 4 time constant, it is around 98.2%. And at 5 time constant, it is almost going to be equal to 100, but not exactly 100. It is around 99.3% of the final value. So from this, it is very clear that suppose if you are interested to study the time response analysis of a control system at the max, we need to study the response up to 4 time constant or up to 5 time constant, because up to 4 or 5 time constant, the response of system is almost equal to its final steady state value. At the end of 4 time constant, the response is 98. By the end of 5 time constant, the response is 99%. तो जब भी आपके पास में कोई प्रैक्टिकल सिस्टम अवेलेबल है और उस प्रैक्टिकल सिस्टम का आपको टाइम रिस्पॉन्स एनालिसिस करना है, तो आपने कब तक करना है? Either you need to study the response up to 4 time constant, or you need to study the response up to 5 time constant. This is very, very important. And then in this figure, I indicate when to, what we can say, or at what instant the transient response over, and by what instant the steady state response of a control system is started. So by the end of your 40, this 40 indicate you are by the end of 4th time constant, the whatever the response indicated by that particular system belongs to the transient, and after 40 or 4th time constant, whatever the response, that is nothing but your steady state response. And this capital T indicate your one time constant, because by the end of this particular time span, the response is 63.2% of its final value. So this is what we learned in the previous lecture. बरोबर है, इतना ही पढ़ा था ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to study what is the effect of time constant on the response of a control system. For example, if you change the value of time constant, then corresponding to the change in time constant, how the response of the system is going to be. So you just tell me, suppose if you have two systems and both the systems are having different value of time constant. For example, if you have system indicated by symbol S1 and to this particular system you have a time constant say T1. In the same way, you have another system indicated by symbol S2 and suppose the time constant is T2. And I told you that the value of T1 is less than T2. That means the time constant of first system is less than the time constant of your second system. Then can you just comment me which system is going to reach the final value quickly? Out of these two systems, which system or the response of which system is going to reach its final value quickly? T1 is less than T2.
Sir, T2.
Which system is going to reach its response quickly? If you consider this particular relationship, T1 is less than T2. किसी ने बोला है कि T2 जो है या फिर जो S2 है,
सर S2 सिस्टम
S2 सिस्टम रीच करेगा पक्का?
हाँ सर, क्योंकि जैसे जैसे हम लोग ये बढ़ाएंगे सर टाइम का वो,
हाँ,
तो वो जल्दी रीच करेंगे सर. जैसे हम लोग ने फर्स्ट केस में देखा था कि अगर सिस्टम वैल्यू जो है वो 1 है, मतलब टाइम डोमेन, तो वो 63% ही रीच कर रहा था. बट जैसे जैसे उसको बढ़ाते गए तो 84, फिर 95, फिर 98.2 एंड सो ऑन, ऐसे ऐसे परसेंटेज वाइज बढ़ते गया सर.
नहीं, आप क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ पाए. मेरे पास में दो सिस्टम है, एक S1 है, एक S2 है. पहले सिस्टम का टाइम कांस्टेंट T1 है, दूसरे सिस्टम का टाइम कांस्टेंट T2 है, बरोबर. और मैं आपको बोल रहा हूं कि फर्स्ट सिस्टम का जो टाइम कांस्टेंट है वो विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सेकंड कम है. तो इनमें से कौन से सिस्टम का रिस्पॉन्स क्विक रहेगा? अच्छा, यू टेल मी व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ टाइम कांस्टेंट. व्हाट इज टाइम कांस्टेंट or what is one time constant? It is nothing but the time taken by the response to reach 63.2%. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Now see here. अब मैं बोल रहा हूं कि मेरा जो फर्स्ट सिस्टम है उसका टाइम कांस्टेंट मैंने इंडिकेट किया है T1 से, एंड लेट अस कंसीडर कि ये जो वैल्यू है ये है 1 सेकेंड. लेट अस कंसीडर the time constant of first system is T1 and the value is say 1 second. In the same way, we have another system having a time constant T2, and let us consider that because we need to specify this relationship, the value of T1 is less than T2. So let us consider that the value of T2 is say 3 seconds. Now, what is the significance of this 1 second and what is the significance of this 3 seconds? In case of system number 1, because the time constant of that system is 1 second, that means after 1 second, the response of first system will be at 63.2% of its final value. But if you take system number 2, that system will take 3 seconds to reach 63.2% of its final value. Now you tell me, which system have quick response? Are you getting my point? समझ में आ रहा है कि मैं क्या पूछ रहा हूं आपको या क्या बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं?
Yes, sir.
तो बताइए ना कि कौन सा सिस्टम पहले रिस्पांस को रीच करेगा या फिर कौन से सिस्टम का रिस्पांस फास्ट रहेगा?
T1.
एग्जैक्टली, T1 या फिर S1. सी है, बहुत सिंपल सा फिलोसॉफी है ना. टाइम कांस्टेंट क्या है? इट इज नथिंग बट द टाइम टेकन बाय द सिस्टम, रिस्पांस ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सिस्टम टू रीच 63.2% ऑफ इट्स फाइनल वैल्यू. अब मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मेरे पास में मेरा जो पहला सिस्टम है उसका टाइम कांस्टेंट कम है, फॉर एग्जांपल 1 सेकंड है, तो क्या होगा कि बाय द एंड ऑफ 1 सेकंड, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू ड्रॉ द रिस्पॉन्स ऑफ द बोथ द सिस्टम ऑन द सेम स्केल, लेट अस कंसीडर दैट कि ये आपका y एक्सिस है जहां पर आपने रिस्पॉन्स को इंडिकेट किया है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ c of t, एंड लेट अस कंसीडर दैट दिस इज द फाइनल वैल्यू इंडिकेटेड बाय सिंबल 1, and on x axis we indicate time which is in second. Now for example, if I am interested to draw the response of this particular system, first system, so it is something like this. It is something like this. So by the end of 1 second, the response of first system is going to reach 63.2% of its final value. Let's consider that somewhere over here this particular line indicate 0.6321. So this particular time, this is nothing but your t1, capital T1, which is nothing but exactly equal to 1 second. So by the end of 1 second, the response of the system is 0.6321 of its final value. But if you try to plot the response of second system, if you see the time constant of your second system, it is nothing but 3 seconds. That means this particular system will take 3 seconds to reach same particular value. So here if you have 2 and here if you have 3, the response is something like this. So here if you draw, system number 2 will take 3 seconds to reach the same value. Now tell me कि कौन सा सिस्टम का रिस्पॉन्स फास्ट है और कौन से सिस्टम का रिस्पॉन्स स्लो है?
S1 is faster than S2.
S1 is faster than S2. So what is the relationship between the value of time constant and the response of control system?
Inversely proportional.
Exactly, inversely proportional. कहने का मतलब है कि जो सिस्टम का टाइम कांस्टेंट कम रहेगा उसका रिस्पॉन्स उतना ही फास्ट रहेगा, और होना भी चाहिए ना, क्योंकि टाइम कांस्टेंट क्या है? इट इज नथिंग बट द टाइम टेकन बाय द सिस्टम टू रीच 63.2% ऑफ इट्स फाइनल वैल्यू. अब मैं जब बोल रहा हूं कि मेरे फर्स्ट सिस्टम का टाइम कांस्टेंट कम है, इसका मतलब वो कम टाइम में 63.2% को रीच कर लेगा. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट?
Yes sir.
दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो इस पे ना गेट में क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है, आईएएस में भी क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए हैं. अब क्वेश्चंस कैसा आता है? फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने आपको एक ग्राफ दे दिया like this, जिसमें मेरे y axis पे मेरा रिस्पॉन्स है इंडिकेटेड बाय सिंबल c of t, and this indicate your final steady state value which is nothing but 1, and on x axis we have t, और मैंने कुछ आपको रिस्पॉन्सेज जो है वो प्लॉट करके दे दिया like this. Let us consider that कि फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स s1 का है, सेकंड रिस्पॉन्स s2 का है, और थर्ड रिस्पॉन्स जो है वो s3 का है. And let us consider that the time constant of first is t1 and time constant of second is t2 and time constant of third is t3. So question ऐसा आता है कि out of the time constant which of the following relationship is perfect, और आपको कुछ रिलेशन दिया जाएगा कि t1 is less than t2 which is less than t3, this will be your first option, या फिर रहेगा t1 is greater than t2 which is again greater than t3, या फिर रहेगा कि t1 and t2 are nothing but same but this entire combination is less than t3, or like that. So ultimately final answer क्या correct रहेगा आपका? From what we can say this figure, it is very clear that because the first system, for example if you draw an imaginary line which indicate 63.2% of its final value, so this particular point indicate t1, this particular point indicate your t2, and this particular point indicate your t3. So from this we can easily comment कि t1 आपका छोटा है as compared to t2 and t2 is less than your t3. So this is your correct answer. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So this is what the significance of value of time constant of the response of control system. So let me erase this and then we will write. So write down, we know that the time response of first order control system is given by c of t equal to 1 minus e to the power minus t by 2, and I think we name this equation by 2, and this is our final conclusion. The decrease in the value of time constant of a system indicate that the steady state reaches earlier. कहने का मतलब है कि अगर आपने टाइम कांस्टेंट की वैल्यू कम किया तो वो सिस्टम का रिस्पांस फास्ट रहेगा, which itself indicate कि उसका जो steady state value है वो जल्दी से जल्दी वो पहुंच पाएगा. Therefore, lower the time constant, faster will be the response of control system. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Lower the value of time constant, faster will be the response of that particular system. This is very very important. और ये statement पे ना बहुत सारे numerical frame होते हैं, जिसमें का एक example मैंने आपको बताया कि आपको ग्राफ दिया जाएगा और पूछा जाएगा कि इनमें से सिस्टम का टाइम रिस्पॉन्स सबसे फास्ट है या फिर कौन से सिस्टम का टाइम कांस्टेंट कम है या फिर ज्यादा है, तो आपको बताते आना चाहिए. तो थंब रूल इज दैट if the value of time constant is very small, that means in that case the response of that particular system reaches to its final value very quickly. And the same thing is mentioned over here. Here I have considered two different cases. In case one, this particular graph indicate the response of first system and this indicate the response of your second system. And here this T1 and T2 indicate the time constant of respective what we can say system. So because here the value of T1 is less than T2, that is the reason if you see the response, it is little bit quick as compared to your second system. So suppose if you are interested to indicate, suppose this is your final value, which is nothing but 1, and somewhere over here we can indicate the value which is nothing but 0.63. So if you are interested, you can say by the end of one time constant, which is nothing but say T1, the system reaches its 63.2% value. In the same way, in order to reach the same particular value, system number 2 will take this much amount of time. So this is your T2. So from this, it is very clear that the value of T1 is less than T2. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So I want you to please draw this diagram and you have to write this as a final conclusion. Lower the value of time constant, faster will be the response of that particular system. And please let me know once you are done with this. हो गया ड्रॉ करके? लिख लिया आपने?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us try to study the response of second order control system. So in the last lecture we studied the response of first order control system. Now let us try to understand the response, or you can say time response analysis for second order control system. So what is the meaning of second order control system? In case of second order control system, the highest power of S available in the denominator polynomial of a transfer function is going to be 2. Or you can say this type of control systems have two poles. It may be one at origin, both are origin, or it may be at different what we can say location. But the thing is that if the system is second order, that means that particular system has only two poles. And that's why it is called a second order control system. And the block diagram representation for second order control system is like this. So this indicate the block diagram for second order control system. And I want you to please draw this diagram. And in this case, we introduced two terms. First one is called as omega n, which is known as natural frequency of oscillation, and the unit is radian per second. And second factor is called as zeta. So you may indicate zeta like this, or if you find that it is difficult to indicate or write this symbol, you may write like this. But this is what the standard for what we can say symbol to indicate the value of zeta. and this is known as damping ratio. So what is damping ratio and how it is going to affect the response of system, that we are going to learn in detail, but for time being you have to remember that in case of second order control system, now this time onwards we introduced two new terms. First one is called as omega, which is nothing but natural frequency of oscillation, and the unit is radian per second. And second one is called as zeta. You may indicate via this symbol, or if it is difficult, you may represent like this, zeta, where zeta is known as damping ratio. So what is damping ratio and how it is going to affect the performance of system, that we are going to learn in detail. And here we have considered that it is a unity feedback control system. Therefore, the value of h of s is going to be equal to 1. And this indicate your forward path gain, which is nothing but g of s. So g of s is nothing but omega n square upon s in bracket s plus twice zeta omega n. Now, why it is called as second order control system? Because if you try to find out its closed loop control, closed loop transfer function, which is nothing but c of s by r of s, by applying elimination of closed loop rule, where g of s is this much, h of s is nothing but 1. So we can write g of s upon 1 plus, why plus? Because it is a negative feedback control system. So you need to implement that formula, which is nothing but g of s whole divided by 1 plus g of s into h of s, where g of s is this much, h of s is nothing but 1. And if you apply the logic, solve it, you will get some final answer as an output. So that value indicate the parametric function of this particular system, which is known as transfer function. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
तो जैसा हमने ना फर्स्ट ऑर्डर कंट्रोल सिस्टम के केस में किया ना, एग्जैक्टली सेम प्रोसेस अब हम सेकंड ऑर्डर कंट्रोल सिस्टम के लिए कर रहे हैं. जैसा हम लोगों ने वहां पर एक जनरल ब्लॉक डायग्राम रिप्रेजेंटेशन लिया था फर्स्ट ऑर्डर कंट्रोल सिस्टम का, इन द सेम वे हियर वी हैव टेकन द जनरल ब्लॉक डायग्राम रिप्रेजेंटेशन फॉर a second order control system. And here in this case we introduce two different terms. One is called as omega n, which is nothing but natural frequency of oscillation and having the unit radian per second. And second one is called as zeta, which is nothing but damping ratio. It has no unit, it is simply a plain number. ये लिख लिया, ये ड्रॉ कर लिया आपने?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now apply elimination of closed loop and let us try to find out the overall transfer function, or you can say closed loop transfer function of that particular system, g of s upon 1 plus g of s into h of s, and check whether you are getting this as an output or not. g of s upon 1 plus g of s into h of s put करो. g of s का वैल्यू आपका ये रहेगा जो कि मैंने यहाँ इंडिकेट किया है, ओमेगा n स्क्वायर अपॉन s इन ब्रैकेट s प्लस ट्वाइस जीटा ओमेगा n. h of s 1 रहेगा. Apply that logic, solve it. Finally, you will get this as the overall transfer function of that particular system. Please let me know whether you are getting this answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this indicate the general expression for overall transfer function, or you can say closed loop transfer function of a second order control system. Now, why it is called a second order control system? Because if you see the denominator polynomial function, here the highest power of s available in denominator polynomial function is 2. Here we have s square. And suppose if you equate this particular term to 0 and if you solve for s, you will get two roots for this particular equation. Maybe say s1 and s2. Because this particular system has two poles which indicate the roots of characteristic equation. That's why the order of this system is 2. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. So, as I told you that in order to obtain the time response, we need to apply the steps one by one. So first step is we need to obtain the overall closed loop transfer function, which we got from equation number 1. So C of s by R of s indicate the overall closed loop transfer function of this particular system, nothing but omega n square whole divided by s square plus twice zeta omega ns plus omega n square. And from this time onwards, you have to remember this expression. This is the general expression for any second order control system. Omega n square upon s square plus twice zeta omega ns plus omega n square, where this Omega n is called as undamped natural frequency, or simply you can say it is a natural frequency of oscillation, and the unit is radian per second. And zeta is called as damping ratio. You may use this symbol or you may use this particular symbol. But if you refer standard book, in most of the case, damping ratio is indicated by this symbol because this is the standard representation for zeta. Zeta is called as damping ratio and omega n is called as undamped natural frequency, or simply you can say it is the natural frequency of oscillation. So this is what your step number 1. Now in step number 2, what we need to do? We need to obtain the response of a control system in frequency domain. That means we need to find out the value of the C of S. But while solving C of S, we must first identify what will be the nature of input excitation. So here, in this case, we are trying to identify or we are trying to analyze the time response of second order control system when it is subjected to a unit step input function. That means here we need to take the value of R of t as 1. And if you apply Laplace, you will get the value of R of S as 1 by S. So the same thing which we have done in case of first order control system, the same thing we need to apply over here. वहां पर भी हम लोगों ने उस particular system का analysis किया था by subjecting it to a unit step input. In the same way here we have taken the same unit step input function in the form of excitation. So therefore from equation number 1 we can write output is nothing but R of S into omega n square upon S square plus twice zeta omega ns plus omega n square. As the input is unit step, that's why R of t is 1 and R of S is going to be equal to 1 by S. Now what we need to do? We need to put this R of S as 1 by S in this particular equation. So this will be your step number 2. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to please write down. And don't wait for my instructions. If you know steps, go away and just what we can say, try to find out final C of t. That is our objective. Ultimately, you need to find out the time response, means you need to find out the mathematical expression of C of t. And to find C of t, you must know C of S. And to find C of S, you must know which type of input is provided in the form of excitation. Once you know the value of R of S, try to find out C of S and then apply your fundamental basic logic which you learn in case of Laplace transform and find out C of t. That is the reason I told you that Laplace transform is very important and you have to remember. You have to remember all the formulas, standard formulas related to Laplace transform, how to find out the Laplace transform, how to find out the inverse Laplace transform. Now, if you substitute the value of R of S in the expression for C of S, you will get this. This is your equation number 2. Now, by the end of step number 2, we are in a position to obtain the response of a control system in frequency domain, which is indicated by equation number 2. Now, in step number 3, we need to apply inverse Laplace transform. But if you see equation number 2, it is not in the standard form. So what we need to do, first of all, we need to convert them into some standard, what we can say, form which is acceptable by your inverse Laplace technique. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Definitely in this case, we need to apply some partial fraction technique. We need to convert this particular term which is available in the denominator into some standard form. And why we are doing that? Because if you straight away apply your inverse Laplace transform, it is not possible to calculate the value which is nothing but C of t, because the expression of C of S is not in the standard form. So now it is our objective to convert this expression, which is indicated by equation number 2, into some standard form. So how we can do that? So by rewriting the term. Now which term we are going to rewrite? This entire term. अब ये entire term को हम लोग rewrite करेंगे. अब rewrite करते समय में क्या करना है कि यहाँ मैंने इसको standard form में convert करना है. That means we need to convert this into that form which is accepted by our inverse Laplace technique. That means we need to convert them maybe in the form of say s plus a square or s plus b square, या फिर आप Laplace of sin देखोगे या फिर Laplace of cos देखोगे. तो अल्टीमेटली उसको ना उस फॉर्म में अरेंज करना पड़ेगा ताकि इसका जब हम इनवर्स लैप्लास अप्लाई करेंगे तो आपको डायरेक्टली आंसर मिल जाए. तो करेंगे कैसे? सी हियर, इफ यू सी दिस एक्सप्रेशन which is nothing but s square plus twice zeta omega ns plus omega n square. So in this particular case, we need to apply a logic and convert this into some standard form. Now, what is the standard form? This expression indicates its standard form. Now, how this equation we got? Now, see here. If you see this expression, here we have s square plus twice zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Now, this is not the perfect square. In order to make this expression as a perfect square, let us consider that this is nothing but your a. So here a is nothing but your s. Suppose a जो मैंने indicate किया है वो आपका s है. So a square plus twice ab. So here this indicate your a, this indicates your twice. So whatever the term apart from this entire term indicate your b. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So here I can write b is nothing but zeta into omega n. Now let us try to apply a plus b whole square formula over here. So here we have a square, which is nothing but s square, plus twice ab. So here twice a into this entire term, which is nothing but b. Then plus we want b square. In order to convert this in the form of a plus b whole square, we want a square plus twice ab plus b square. Now what is b? B is nothing but your zeta into omega n. So we want zeta omega n whole square. But here we have only omega n square. So what we need to do? We need to add zeta omega n whole square in this particular term. Because zeta omega n whole square we have added in this particular expression, which is not available. So definitely we need to provide same what we can say magnitude, but opposite what we can say sense. So what we need to do, we need to add plus zeta omega n square in this expression. At the same time, we need to subtract zeta omega n whole square from the same what we can say expression. कहने का मतलब है कि आपने यहाँ पर प्लस जीटा ओमेगा एन होल स्क्वायर से ऐड भी करना है, एट द सेम टाइम माइनस जीटा ओमेगा एन होल स्क्वायर से सब्ट्रैक्ट भी करना है. तो अगर आपने ये प्लस जीटा ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर का टर्म इसमें ऐड कर दिया तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूं, यहाँ पर जो एस स्क्वायर है देन ट्वाइस जीटा ओमेगा एन एस प्लस दिस जीटा ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर, ये जो एक परफेक्ट स्क्वायर को फॉर्म कर लेगा. तो हियर ए प्लस बी वेयर ए इज नथिंग बट योर एस एंड बी इज नथिंग बट योर जीटा ओमेगा एन होल स्क्वायर. तो आर यू गेटिंग की एक्सप्रेशन कहां से आया?
Yes, sir.
नाउ सी हियर, अब हमने एडिशनल टर्म क्या क्या ऐड किया था. तो प्लस जीटा ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर ऐड किया जो कि इस पर्टिकुलर टर्म को कन्वर्ट कर देगा एक परफेक्ट स्क्वायर में. अब रिमेनिंग टर्म क्या बचा है? माइनस जीटा ओमेगा एन बचा है. एट द सेम टाइम वी हैव दिस ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर एज एन व्हाट वी कैन से टर्म. नाउ इफ यू टेक ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर कॉमन, if you take omega n square common from this particular term and this particular expression, omega n square का आपने common निकाला तो यहाँ बचेगा आपका 1. Then here we have minus zeta square. So this you will get as an output. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So I want you to please write down this. By rewriting the denominator polynomial, we can rewrite this particular term via this expression. The thing is that we have added plus zeta omega n whole square and then minus zeta omega n whole square in this expression, and finally we modify the same term in this form, which is nothing but s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n square in bracket 1 minus zeta whole square. Now what we need to do, we need to rewrite the expression for c of s like this. So c of s is nothing but 1 upon s, then omega n square whole divided by, we have previously this particular term. Now we need to replace this term by this expression, which is nothing but s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n square in bracket 1 minus zeta square. Now why we are doing this? Ultimately we want to find out the inverse Laplace transform for this particular expression, जो कि directly possible है नहीं. तो जिस फॉर्म में वो acceptable है उस फॉर्म में हम उसको कन्वर्ट करते जा रहे हैं. That is the reason. लिख लिया आपने ये एक्सप्रेशन?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what we need to do? We need to apply partial fraction technique. अब इसमें आपने partial fraction technique apply करना है on RHS side. तो RHS side में अगर आप partial fraction technique apply करोगे, so here we have the expression like you can say a whole divided by s then plus because this is nothing but your quadratic expression. So quadratic expression को अगर आपको partial fraction technique पे apply करना है तो यहाँ पर आपके पास क्या expression रहेगा? bs plus c whole divided by your entire denominator polynomial, which is nothing but like this. Are you getting my point? यही रहेगा ना?
हाँ.
इसके बाद में if you are interested to represent them or rewrite them in partial fraction, definitely we need to find the value of a, b, and finally c. So in order to find the value of a, we need to put s equals to 0. In order to find the value of b or c, you need to take the value of s apart from 0. You may take 1, you may take -1, or any value you want. If you apply that logic and split this by partial fraction technique and try to solve the value of a, b, and c, you will get this as a final answer. So here a, I think you will get the value as 1. So 1 upon s minus s plus twice zeta omega n whole divided by this entire term. So ये कहाँ से आया? By applying your partial fraction technique, a upon s plus c upon that entire term. So I just want you to please write down this step and let us try to solve this at your home and then cross check whether you are getting this answer or not. But definitely you will get this answer. The thing is that you need to apply logic properly. You will get this as an answer. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want you to please note down this c of s upon 1 upon s minus s plus twice zeta omega n whole divided by this entire expression. So how we will get this expression? By applying the partial fraction technique, a upon s plus bs plus c upon that entire term. Then find out the value of a, b, c. Definitely you will get this answer. Now in this term or expression, we are going to introduce another term which is indicated by symbol omega d. Now how you are going to replace omega d? Or omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So here this omega d is known as damped frequency of oscillation. Previously we introduced two terms. First one is called as omega n, which is called as natural frequency of oscillation, and the unit is radian per second. And then we introduce zeta, which is called as damping ratio, and it is a unitless quantity. And here we have introduced one more term which is called as omega d, and omega d is nothing but damped frequency of oscillation, and the expression to calculate omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Now if you put this omega d equal to omega n under root 1 minus zeta square, so ये expression कैसा हो जाएगा? Where omega d is nothing but damped frequency. So if you replace this entire term, because this term indicate your omega d square, because omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So if you square on both sides, you will get here as omega n square in bracket square root का square अगर आप करोगे तो you will get 1 minus zeta square. So this omega n square 1 minus zeta square, which is nothing but this particular term, indicate the square of your damped frequency of oscillation. That's why we replace that particular term via this expression. So C of s is nothing but 1 upon s minus s plus twice zeta omega n whole divided by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega d square. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Now, again, we need to make some arrangement over here. See here, this twice zeta omega n, I can write this as zeta omega n plus zeta omega n. जो twice zeta omega n है, मैं इसको ऐसा लिख सकता हूँ दो बार अलग अलग तरीके से लिख सकते हैं कि नहीं लिख सकते हैं?
Yes, sir.
Now see here, if you club this s with first zeta omega n, so I can write here as s plus zeta omega n, which is nothing but your first, what we can say, bracket. The same term is available in the denominator. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Then plus in the numerator we have another expression which is nothing but your remaining zeta omega n. So I can write here as zeta omega n as it is. Now what we need to do, we are going to split this particular function and let us try to arrange them which is easily accepted by our standard Laplace inverse formula. So by rewriting the above expression, we can obtain this equation as an output. अभी equation कैसे लिखा? Same logic यहाँ भी apply किया. See, this twice zeta omega n को मैंने replace किया है zeta omega n plus zeta omega n. एक जो component है मैंने s के साथ में club किया और वो club करके मैंने यहाँ पर लिख दिया. So this s plus zeta omega n will be your this particular term. Then we have remaining term which is nothing but zeta omega n. तो ये रहेगा आपका zeta omega n. So if you apply proper logic, if you split this particular expression, you will get this as an output. At the same time, I have multiplied and divided the numerator and denominator of the second component by omega d. So omega d से multiply भी किया और omega d से मैंने इसको divide भी किया. Are you getting my point? समझ में आ रहा है कि कैसे ये एक्सप्रेशन आया? कुछ भी नहीं है, सिर्फ मैथमेटिक्स, सिर्फ इक्वेशंस को दोबारा से लिखा गया है. और ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? ताकि इसका जो स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म है जो हमारे लैप्लास इनवर्स को एक्सेप्टेबल है वो क्लियरली हमें मिल जाए. ताकि आप एक बार लैप्लास इनवर्स फाइंड आउट कर लो तो ऑटोमेटिकली आप डायरेक्टली साइन कॉस के फॉर्मूलेस अप्लाई करके इसका फाइनल एक्सप्रेशन एज एन आउटपुट ले पाएंगे. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट?
यस सर.
ये समझ में आया कि एक्सप्रेशन कैसे लिखा है? सिंपल है, कुछ भी नहीं है. ट्वाइस जीटा ओमेगा एन को दो पार्ट में स्प्लिट किया, जीटा ओमेगा एन प्लस जीटा ओमेगा एन. एक यहाँ क्लब किया है, एक यहाँ पर रहेगा. ये नेगेटिव साइन क्यों आया? क्योंकि यहाँ नेगेटिव साइन है. तो जब मैंने स्प्लिट किया तो नेगेटिव की साइन के साथ में ब्रैकेट्स को मल्टीप्लाई कर रहा हूँ. सो एक रहेगा आपका s प्लस जीटा ओमेगा एन होल डिवाइड बाय सेम व्हाट वी कैन से डिनोमिनेटर फंक्शन. देन माइनस यहाँ पर रहेगा जीटा ओमेगा एन होल डिवाइडेड बाय दैट सेम टर्म. देन इन ऑर्डर टू अरेंज देम इनटू स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म वी must have s square plus a square. तो ये a ऊपर में अवेलेबल नहीं था, because if you see, if you apply Laplace inverse, this is your sine and this is your cos. So cos का Laplace अगर आप देखोगे it is nothing but s upon s square plus a square. Are you getting my point?
Yes sir.
So why we have done this? Just because we want inverse Laplace transform of our C of s. That's it. So I want you to please write down this equation, which is nothing but the expression of response in frequency domain, which is C of s equals to 1 upon s minus this term, then minus this entire term. Now, if you apply inverse Laplace transform on both sides, now whatever the expressions available in the above equation, all are standard acceptable form. So this particular term, now you tell me, what will be the Laplace transform for this term? Inverse.
Sir, 1.
Exactly.
Inverse
one.
Laplace.
Very good. Very good. Inverse Laplace is 1. And what about this term?
Sir, e to power minus zeta omega t into cos omega d into t.
Exactly. So if you apply a proper logic, inverse Laplace transform इसका रहेगा आपका e to the power minus zeta omega n t. Then if you apply the logic, this is what shifting property na?
Yes sir.
Then multiplied by s upon s square plus a square. So this is nothing but the Laplace of your cos. So here we need to write cos of at, but a is nothing but your omega d. So here we need to write omega d and then t. So this term will indicate the inverse Laplace transform for this particular expression, e to the power minus zeta omega n t into cos of omega dt. In the same way, this term is nothing but your constant term. तो ये तो as it is रहेगा. So minus यहाँ आएगा आपका zeta omega n whole divided by omega d, then multiplied by this particular term. इसका एक Laplace inverse क्या रहेगा?
Sir, e to power minus zeta omega n t into sine of omega dt.
Very good. So यहाँ रहेगा आपका e to the power minus zeta omega n t into sine of omega dt. This is very important. That is the reason I told you that you have to make a revision of Laplace transform. If you apply that logic, you will get this as an output. Look, exactly same expression रहेगा. So this indicates the inverse Laplace transform of C of s, which is nothing but C of t, which is going to be equal to 1 minus e to the power minus zeta omega n t into cos omega dt minus zeta omega n upon omega d into e to the power minus zeta omega n t into sine of omega d t. Now, in this, what we can say expression, if you take this e to the power minus zeta omega n t and this e to the power minus zeta omega n t common, you will get this expression as an output. If you take e to the power minus zeta omega n t common, you will get this as an output. Now, because we know that omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So if you replace this omega d by this particular term, which is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So this omega n will get cancelled and you will get this as an output. So this here omega n will get cancelled. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what we need to do, we need to take common 1 upon under root 1 minus zeta square. If you take 1 upon under root 1 minus zeta square common, अगर ये टर्म में से ये पूरा जो टर्म आपके पास दिख रहा है दिस एंटायर टर्म, यहां से अगर आपने 1 अपॉन अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर कॉमन निकाला तो क्या एक्सप्रेशन बचेगा? 1 अपॉन अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर इफ यू टेक कॉमन, सो यहां हमारे पास में आएगा अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर, यहां पर आएगा मल्टीप्लीकेशन में अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर और यहां से ओनली जीटा रहेगा, ये 1 अपॉन अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर बाहर निकल गया. So if you take 1 upon under root 1 minus zeta square common, you will get this as an output. I want you to please note down these steps very carefully. So C of t indicate the time response of second order control system when it is excited by a unit step input excitation or unit step function. So C of t is nothing but 1 minus e to the power minus zeta omega nt whole divided by under root 1 minus zeta square in bracket. Here we have square root 1 minus zeta square, then bracket closed, multiplied by cos omega dt, then plus zeta into sin omega dt. समझ में आ रहा है कैसे आ रहा है ये आउटपुट इक्वेशंस कैसे बन रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं? आर यू एबल टू कनेक्ट विथ मी?
यस सर.
है ना? हाँ, कुछ भी नहीं किया मैंने, कुछ भी नहीं किया, सही बता रहा हूँ. सी ऑफ एस पता है, सी ऑफ एस से मुझे सी ऑफ टी निकालना है, जिसके लिए मुझे लैप्लास इनवर्स पता होना चाहिए. लैप्लास इनवर्स आपके ऊपर है, आप कैसे निकालते हैं. अल्टीमेटली यू नीड टू अप्लाई लैप्लास इनवर्स बाय knowing the standard acceptable formulas. So that is the reason we need to apply or we need to convert that denominator polynomial into standard form by arranging the terms, and finally we will get this as an output. Now see here, in this expression we have one term which is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square, and we have another term which is nothing but zeta. Now what we need to do, first of all let me tell, have you write this expression? यहाँ तक लिख लिया आप लोगों ने?
सर वन थिंग, यू हैव मेड मिस्टेक इन लास्ट सेकंड स्टेप. सर जो वो cos के बाद जो आ रहा है वहाँ पे पॉजिटिव साइन चाहिए rather than negative, because we have taken out minus e to power zeta omega nt.
Yes. Exactly. Let me correct this. This is positive. This one will be positive, and that is the reason I think here I have written positive. अब सही है?
Yes sir.
Yes, definitely you are correct, because if you take e to the power minus zeta omega and t with negative sign common, because I have written here negative, that's why ये जो negative है positive बन जाएगा. So this is positive and definitely यहाँ भी positive ही है. बिल्कुल सही है आपका. यहाँ तक लिख लिया आप लोगों ने? Please tell me, यहाँ तक लिख लिया क्या?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let us imagine a triangle in which the base of the triangle is indicated by symbol zeta and this angle indicated by symbol phi. And suppose the hypotenuse of that particular triangle is nothing but 1. So if you apply Pythagoras theorem, you can write the opposite value, which is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square. Now, in this particular triangle, or with respect to this particular triangle, if you try to write down the value of sin phi and cos phi, can you just tell me what will be the expression for sin phi and cos phi in terms of zeta and
So root over 1 minus zeta square will be for sin phi and zeta for cos phi.
Exactly. If you apply proper trigonometric formulas over here, we can write sine phi. Sine is nothing but opposite by hypotenuse. So opposite is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square. Hypotenuse is nothing but 1. So sine phi I can write here as 1 minus zeta square. In the same way, cos phi is nothing but base upon hypotenuse. So base is nothing but zeta upon hypotenuse, which is nothing but 1. So cos phi is going to be what? Zeta. So why we have written this? See here. In the previous expression, you have under root 1 minus zeta square in the bracket. See this. Let me erase this. Yeah. This expression, under root 1 minus zeta square. This under root 1 minus zeta square I can write as sine of phi. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
In the same way, this particular zeta I can write as cos phi. So ultimately, I am having sine phi into cos of omega dt plus cos phi into sine of omega dt. And let us consider that this omega dt is nothing but your A, and your, what we can say, this phi is nothing but your B. So ultimately, if you apply that logic, you will get this as an output. Sine phi, which indicate under root 1 minus zeta square, cos phi, which indicate zeta. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to please write down this. Now, why we are doing this? Because if you apply a logic, here we have sine A into cos B plus cos A into sine B.
Which is
Where
equal
we
to sine
take,
A plus
yes,
B.
yes, exactly. But in this case, we take A as omega dt and B as nothing but your phi. So definitely we need to apply that logic, and finally we want to reduce this particular expression in the smallest version as it can be possible. Now, before that, please tell me the value of tan phi. In this case, if you are interested to find out tan phi, so tan phi is nothing but what? Sine by cos. So I can write here as sine phi divided by cos phi. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now what is the expression for sine phi? Sine phi is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square. So I can write here as under root 1 minus zeta square whole divided by, what will be the expression for cos phi? It is nothing but what? Zeta. So I can write here as tan phi is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square whole divided by zeta. And from this expression, if you are interested to calculate the value of phi, I can write phi as tan inverse of this entire term, which is nothing but under root 1 minus zeta square whole divided by zeta. बरोबर है? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can rewrite this particular term like this by applying that formula sine of A plus B, sine of A plus B, which is nothing but sine A cos B plus cos A into sine B. And finally, you will get this as an output. Now, in this equation, what we are going to do, we are going to replace this phi in terms of zeta. So I can write this phi as tan inverse of under root 1 minus zeta square whole divided by zeta. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want you to please write down this. So C of t is nothing but 1 minus e to the power minus zeta omega n t whole divided by under root 1 minus zeta square into sine of omega dt plus phi, where phi is nothing but tan inverse under root 1 minus zeta square whole divided by zeta. At the same time, you can also replace this omega d in terms of omega n and zeta. We know that omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So आप इसको भी replace कर सकते हैं. We can replace this omega d as omega n under root 1 minus zeta square, and we can rewrite this phi as tan inverse under root 1 minus zeta square. So that expression indicate the final time response analysis of second order control system where it is subjected to a unit step input function. So I want you to please note down this. And finally, If you apply a proper logic, you will get 10 phi as sin phi by cos phi under root 1 minus zeta square by zeta. So I can write phi as 10 inverse under root 1 minus zeta square by zeta. And if you put the value of phi, this indicate phi, which is nothing but 10 inverse under root 1 minus zeta square by zeta. And we know that omega d is omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So we are going to replace this omega d by omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So this is our final output equation. So this indicate the time response analysis of a second order control system when it is subjected to a unit step input function. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
ओके ओके, अब सवाल ये आता है कि वो ट्रायंगल अचानक से कहाँ से आ गया और सर ने ट्रायंगल क्यों ड्रॉ करने के लिए बोला, जिसमें बेस आपका जीटा है, देन अपोजिट है अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर और जो हाइपोटेनियस है वो आपका 1 है. तो वो अभी आपको मैं समझा नहीं पाऊंगा. जब हम लोग पोल्स का लोकेशन पढ़ेंगे, that means when we are going to study the effect of zeta on the performance of a second order control system, at that time I will tell you how this triangle I have drawn. The triangle का significance क्या है? Actually this triangle indicate the location of poles in S plane for a second order control system. तो वहां मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि ट्रायंगल आया कहां से और ये जीटा ही बेस में क्यों है, इसका जो अपोजिट है वो अंडर रूट 1 माइनस जीटा स्क्वायर ही क्यों आया और ये 1 ही क्यों आया, दैट आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू डेफिनेटली. ठीक है, समझ में आया?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want you to write down this. So this indicate the time response of a second order control system when it is subjected to a unit step function, which is very, very important. Now, suppose if you are interested to calculate the value of steady state response, which is nothing but CSS of t, or suppose if you are interested to calculate the value of transient response, which is nothing but CT of t. So can you just tell me what will be the value of CSS of t? For this particular case, CSS of t क्या रहेगा? In order to calculate the value of CSS of t, what we need to do? We need to apply a formula. CSS of t जो है वो क्या रहेगा आपका? It is going to be equal to limit t tends to infinite C of t. That means we are trying to find out the response value at t tends to infinite. तो जो भी बच जाएगा by the end of t tends to infinite, that value indicate your steady state response. So you need to find out the limit for this expression by taking t tends to infinite. So if you put t tends to infinite, e to the power minus infinity is going to be what? 0. So ये पूरा का पूरा जो term है वो आपका क्या रहेगा? 0 हो जाएगा. That means the expression for steady state response CT of CSS of t is going to be equal to 1. Are you getting my point? समझ में आ रहा है क्या CSS of t कैसे निकाला?
Yes, sir.
In the same way, suppose if you are interested to transient response, so transient response ये केस में क्या रहेगा? In this case, what will be the expression for transient response? Steady state response हमने find out किया, वो क्या है आपका 1 है. And I told you that total time response is nothing but a combination of your steady state response and the transient response. So this one indicate your steady state response. CSS of t is nothing but your 1. So total response में से 1 indicate कर रहा है आपका steady state response. So जो बचा हुआ रहेगा, this entire term will indicate your steady state, transient response indicated by symbol CT of t. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So the combination of steady state response and transient response is nothing but your total response, which is nothing but C of t. And from this equation, it is very clear that the transient response of second order control system is a combination of exponential curve followed by sine curve. That is the reason if you draw a mathematical representation of time response, or you can say response with respect to time, which is nothing but t. So here it is subjected by a unit step function. That's why the value is nothing but 1. So here we have exponential curve indicated by a dotted line, and somewhere over here we have a dotted line curve, and inside this curve we need to draw the graph like this, something like this. Why the graph is something like this? Because it is a combination of two mathematical function. First one is your exponential, so this dotted line is because of exponential, and this oscillation is because of sine curve. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
That is the reason if you draw the time response for a second order control system, it is a combination of your exponential followed by sine oscillating curve. So that is the reason we have always draw the curve like this, because by default we consider that the order of that particular system is nothing but your second order control system. That means it has two poles. So this is what the significance of time response analysis of second order control system. And this expression you have to remember. You have to remember what is the meaning of omega n, which is nothing but natural frequency of oscillation, and the unit is radian per second. You must know what is zeta. It is nothing but damping ratio. And you must know the meaning of omega d. It is nothing but damped frequency of oscillation, and the unit will be radian per second. And you must know the expression for omega d in terms of omega n and zeta, which is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. And finally you have to remember this expression. ये expression बहुत important है. और जब हम लोग time domain specification करेंगे control system का, where we are trying to define the meaning of rise time, peak overshoot, delay time, settling time, तो वहां पर ये expression को ही हम लोग base treat करेंगे और सारे derivations एक एक करके solve करेंगे. So in the next lecture we are going to study effect of zeta, which is nothing but damping ratio on the performance of second order control system. This is very important topic as far as GATE IAS exams are concerned. बहुत सारे न्यूमेरिकल ये टॉपिक पे फ्रेम होते हैं कि अगर मैंने जीटा चेंज किया तो मेरे सेकंड ऑर्डर कंट्रोल सिस्टम का परफॉर्मेंस किस तरीके से वैरी होगा. एंड इन दिस केस वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ ओवर डैम्पिंग, अंडर डैम्पिंग, अनडैम्प्ड, देन क्रिटिकल डैम्प, whether the system is stable or unstable, and if you vary the value of zeta maybe from 0 to 1, or if you put the value of zeta as 1, or if you put the value of zeta as 0, or if you put the value of zeta in the negative sense, then how the system responses change, uske poles kaise change honge, wo sab kuch hum log next lecture mein study karenge.